Live from London, this is BBC News. The headlines. Japan's Prime Minister has been rushed away by security teams after an explosion was heard as he prepared to give a speech. Montana becomes the first US state to pass legislation imposing a total ban on the popular app TikTok. 21-year-old Jack Teixeira appears in court in Boston over a huge leak of secret documents, government documents. Hello, I'm Vishala Sri-Pathma. Japanese media says the Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has been evacuated after an explosion was heard while he was giving a speech. TV footage appeared to show officers clearing the area and removing a man from the scene. One report said a pipe-like object had been thrown near Mr. Kishida. Details are still coming in about the incident in the city of Wakayama. There was no immediate official confirmation of the blast, with local police declining to comment. While Japanese officials say Mr. Kishida, who is 65, is safe and unharmed. He's been Japanese leader since October 2021. Japan has bolstered security after the assassination of the former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who was shot and killed while speaking at a campaign event in July 2022. We have some footage here of what happened at the event from NHK, the Japanese broadcaster. This is at a port in the city of Wakayama. You can see some officials taking away a man there. Well, let's speak now to our correspondent Yetunde Yusuf. Yetunde, what do we know?
So we know that the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida was evacuated from a port in Wakayama.
And to our top story now, breaking news in the last hour. The Japanese Prime Minister has been evacuated from the city of Wakayama, where he was making a speech. There were scenes of commotion as a man was taken away. It looked like he threw a smoke bomb at the Prime Minister. Personnel. Wakayama is in the western part of Japan, just west of Tokyo. He was there making a speech on behalf of a candidate standing for local elections there, part of the LDP ruling party. Loud explosions could be heard at the venue, but these footage and pictures that we got from NHK a bit earlier on, his Prime Minister speaking at a speech a bit earlier on in the day. This is the scene where security took away the assailant. The Prime Minister is said to be safe. He has been arrested, this man that let off this smoke ban. We'll bring you more news on that breaking news a bit later on in the day. Well, thank you for watching BBC News. You can reach me on Twitter. I'm at BBC Vishala SB. Live from London, this is BBC News. Japan's Prime Minister is rushed away by security teams after an explosion was heard as he prepared to give a speech. Montana becomes the first US state to pass legislation imposing a total ban on the Chinese-owned app TikTok over data security. A 21-year-old member of the US Air National Guard appears in court in Boston over a huge leak of secret government documents, including details about Western operations in Ukraine. And the French president visits Notre Dame Cathedral as restoration continues, 4 years since a fire destroyed significant parts of the World Heritage Landmark. Hello, I'm Vishala Sri-Pathma. Well, let's start with breaking news from Japan. Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has been rushed to safety after an explosion was heard as he was about to give a speech. Police in the city of Wakayama have arrested a man who appears to have thrown a smoke bomb. TV footage showed panic in the crowd as security officers bundled the man away. Well, we can go live now to the newsroom and our correspondent Yetunde Yusuf is standing by for us. Yetunde, what happened? Take us through the events. Now, a recap of our breaking news story, our top story. Police in Japan have arrested a young man on suspicion of throwing a smoke bomb at the Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, who's making a speech in Western Japan in support of a ruling party candidate. We can see pictures on our screen from that event where a smoke bomb was aimed at the Prime Minister, an assailant there being arrested and dragged away by security officials. That was in the city of Wakayama. Those pictures are from the Japanese broadcaster NHK, which showed footage of smoke as that man was pinned to the ground and then pulled away by security personnel. He has been arrested. We've heard from our correspondent in Japan, in Tokyo, that the Prime Minister then went on to make another speech. He was quite resilient and determined to show that all was okay. Local elections are taking place in Japan at the moment, although according to our correspondent Shaima Khalil, tensions aren't that high during sort of political campaigns. However, it's just months after the former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was fatally shot. He was shot in July last year during a speech in the western city of Nara. You can get more on our website, bbc.co.uk. Well, that's it from us. You can reach me on Twitter at BBC Vishala SB. Thanks for watching. Live from London, this is BBC News. A man is pinned down and arrested by security staff in Japan as the Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is rushed to safety after an explosion. Montana becomes the first US state to pass legislation imposing a total ban on the Chinese-owned app TikTok over data security. A 21-year-old member of the US Air National Guard appears in court in Boston over a huge leak of secret government documents, including details about Western operations in Ukraine. And the French president visits Notre Dame Cathedral as restoration continues, 4 years since a fire destroyed significant parts of the World Heritage Landmark. Hello, I'm Vishala Sri-Pathma. Let's start with some breaking news from Japan. Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has been rushed to safety after an explosion was heard as he was about to give a speech. Now, the police in the city of Wakayama have arrested a man who appears to have thrown a smoke bomb. TV footage showed panic in the crowd as security officers bundled the man away. Well, let's get more on this breaking news from Shaima Khalil in Tokyo. Shaima, what's been happening? Bring us up to date. We're just getting some news out of Japan after we heard about a man attacking the Prime Minister there with a smoke bomb. A man has been arrested on suspicion of throwing a smoke bomb at the Prime Minister. We now can have an identification of who that is. Police in Japan have arrested a young man, and they've said his name is 24-year-old Ryuji Kimura. He was identified as the assailant. Mr. Kishida was about to give a speech in support of a local candidate of his ruling party, the LDP, at the port city of Wakayama. As you can see in the pictures, the assailant there of Mr. Kimura, security officials taking him away after the incident. The Prime Minister is said to be safe and in a good condition. He actually went on to make a speech. So that's the latest on Japan. Thanks for watching BBC News. Live from London, this is BBC News. A man is pinned down and arrested by security staff in Japan as the Prime Minister, Fumio Kishida, is rushed to safety after an explosion. Montana becomes the first US state to pass legislation imposing a total ban on the Chinese-owned app TikTok over data security. A 21-year-old member of the US Air National Guard appears in court in Boston over a huge leak of secret government documents, including details about Western operations in Ukraine. And the French president visits Notre Dame Cathedral as restoration continues, 4 years since a fire destroyed significant parts of the World Heritage Landmark. Hello, I'm Vishala Sri-Pathma. The man arrested on suspicion of throwing a smoke bomb at Japan's Prime Minister, Fumio Kishida, has been identified by the authorities as 24-year-old Ryuji Kimura. There are no further details regarding his motivation. Mr. Kishida was about to give a speech in support of a local candidate of his ruling party, the LDP. After the incident, the Prime Minister Kishida made a speech in another location where he said the incident shouldn't be allowed to disrupt the electoral process. Now, the attack comes ahead of nationwide local elections and by-elections for vacated seats in Japan's lower house. Well, we can get more on this breaking news from Shaima Khalil in Tokyo. Shaima, we know now the name of this young man that attacked the Prime Minister. And that's it from us. Thanks for watching.
Hello, here's how the weekend weather prospects are looking across Europe.